Welcome back to Women in Westminster with me, Eleni Barrett. Today I'm speaking with Satvir Kaur, who was the MP for Southampton Test. Known for her dedication to local communities, she previously served as leader of Southampton City Council, where she focused on housing, social equality and climate issues. Satvir is a strong advocate for accessible public services and equal opportunities, emphasising the importance of community engagement in her work. And it's great to be able to speak with you today.
Thanks so much for having me. I haven't really eaten today, so I'm going to shamefully have chocolate while you're talking to me.
That's completely fine. We've all been there. But before becoming an MP, as I said before, you were the leader of Southampton City Council. So what's been the most significant change moving from local council leadership to national politics?
Sorry, worst time to put that in my mouth. I absolutely love local government. I was elected back in 2011, so almost 13, 14 years of my life has been spent with local government. And I have to admit, I agonised over whether I stay in local government, because I just think it's the way you impact someone's daily life is just profound, and you can't get that in any other level of politics. So whether I stay there or whether I go into national politics, and it was only because my local MP, Alan Whitehead, was standing down in my home city where I was born and bred that I considered it.
Right.
Also, like in local government, I feel as though you can really change lives and kind of improve your local community in your city, but felt increasingly frustrated because you can change someone's life, but for long-lasting change, you need change at the top and you need change in government, which is why I made that transition. So far, the transition has been great. I mean, there's challenges in local government, huge challenges in local government, and I feel like they've been magnified being in Parliament. Obviously, this new government is the first Labour government in 14 years. 14 years is a very long time to wreck a country, which is what I'd say the Conservatives have done, and 14 weeks isn't a very long time to fix it. So there's a lot of challenges, but also a lot of opportunities, and it's really exciting to be part of those opportunities and helping to shape that.
I mean, it's amazing, seeing as you have such a close connection with your constituency, I'm sure your constituents are incredibly lucky to have you as their MP.
I love representing Southampton. It's where I was born and bred. It's where I've always lived. It's got 2 universities, and just because I'm a massive nerd, I've graduated from both of them. I know so many people, a lot of people, either my family or my friends or, community projects I've helped set up with. When I first got elected over the summer, it was just so amazing walking through the streets, and this doesn't always happen, but I enjoyed it while it lasted. People would just stop you and give you a hug and just say, you've done it for all of us, because I'm a really working class kid. I grew up in the inner city on free school meals. I'm the daughter of a market stall trader. Things like this just don't happen to people like me. So the idea that local Southampton people, and especially kids, feel as though they can relate to me and feel as though if I can do it, they can do it, I think is actually really, really special.
Well, as someone deeply familiar with Southampton, how do you think Parliament can better support port cities, especially with infrastructure and economic investment?
So much more. It's something that I'm really, really passionate about, particularly in coastal areas like Southampton. So there's enough research that's been done to show that actually social mobility is far worse in coastal areas.
Right.
And partly that's to do with connectivity, because by our very nature, you can only get to us by a 180 rather than a 360. But also this infrastructure that almost gets lost in coastal cities. So one of the things that I'm really championing, and kind of one of my key campaigns, is trying to get our port to become completely green and sustainable. And not only will that help local businesses and the kind of marine and maritime sector, but also it just has a knock-on effect. So what we're trying to do is create a renewable ready port, so generate our own energy. So rather than waiting for the national grid to keep up and reform and expand like it needs to do everywhere, we're exploring ways where we can generate our own energy and ensure that it's used by, whether that's the port or the hospital or the universities. How can we use it to heat and supply electricity to local homes? I actually chair something called the Renaissance Board in Southampton, and it has all the major city stakeholders and landowners around the table. And at the end of last year, I actually went round the table and said, if there was one thing that you would like to resolve to help your business kind of long term, what would it be? And all of them, without hesitation, said the energy issue. So it's something that I'm really passionate about.
So it's a massive issue then.
We can get it over the line. Yeah, so while I think the kind of creating GB Energy will be incredible and create loads of jobs, but also ensure that there's more energy security for individuals and families, I do think energy infrastructure will also make a profound, long-lasting difference to major organisations and strategic ports like the one in Southampton, because that's our economy and that's our local jobs. So yeah, really keen to see it progress. Not only is it kind of the right thing to do, it helps tackle the climate crisis, but also will ensure that businesses are more sustainable in the long term.
And what has surprised you the most about life as an MP so far?
Oh, so much. What has surprised me the most? I feel like, God, this is like super minor, but it's the first thing that comes into my head. So I either eat loads or I don't eat enough here.
Right.
So my daily routine has gone out the window. You're obviously here to represent your city and your constituents. But before I became a member of Parliament, I naively thought that you actually don't spend as much time in Westminster than you actually do.
Right.
So I'm here most of the week, whereas I miss Southampton. That's my beating heart. So being away from a city that I love for most of the week does come with its challenges, and it's just something that is just creating a new routine for yourself. So far since we've been elected, it's been very stop and start. So whether that was July, then we had the summer recess, and we came back for a couple of weeks, and then had conference recess. So I'm kind of using this massive chunk between October and Christmas to identify what the new rhythm and new normal is, and what is my routine.
Right.
And at the moment it's a little bit crazy and very, very busy with very, very long days. So I mean, it's very normal here to vote at 10, 11 at night, and I'm usually in bed at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, that's late.
So just getting used to that routine, I suppose, has probably been the most challenging, if I'm completely honest, because you've still got a family. I mean, I was recently married. I'm very, very close to my family, so not having them round the corner or down the road. But I mean, this place is amazing, and it's the kind of place where you walk through the corridors and you still feel really intimidated, and you have this kind of sense of responsibility on your shoulders, and you're just desperate to try and do the best job you possibly can for the people that trusted you and put you there. So I kind of go through corridors, and as soon as there's somebody I recognise that has a bit of influence or power, particularly ministers,
you're kind of internally freak out.
Secretaries of State, I kind of go for them and kind of talk about how they can help Southampton. So now I go through the corridors, and rather than know my name, they more know where I'm from. So they're like, oh, hello, Southampton. Which, that's what I'm here for, right? I'm here to represent Southampton. So if they call me Southampton, I'll
that's fine, yeah.
But yeah, I think the personal transition has probably been kind of the biggest challenge for me. I mean, obviously I come from local government, so governing and being part of debates and kind of trying to influence policy has always kind of been part of my daily routine, at least for kind of the decade just gone. But the personal transition and kind of the way this place just completely takes over your life, and that is normal, is something that I'm going to have to get used to.
But you were saying you weren't previously aware of how much time you'd be spending in London. So what's the ratio kind of like? Is it like Monday to Thursday in Westminster, and then?
Yeah, it will really depend on kind of what government's trying to push through the Commons. But we've been. I mean, obviously we're a new Labour government, so obviously we want to get going and start delivering. And I'm really excited by things that have come. And actually, you almost kind of there's been so many pinch me moments and kind of, oh God, a few examples like the renters reform bill, something that I've been campaigning for a really long time. So voting for that in this first reading, and the workers' rights bill that came last week was really exciting. And all these things that you campaign for and you know will have a long-lasting difference to people's everyday life is super magical. But that obviously requires us to be here a lot more.
Yeah.
So yes, usually Monday to Thursday and then a Friday in the constituency. We did have a few sitting Fridays in July, and I think there's going to be more coming. So that will be the entire week in London before I head back to Southampton.
I mean, yeah. Who has been a key influence or mentor in your life, and how has that shaped your approach to leadership?
Oh wow. Do you know what? Fortunately, I feel as though I've had some like really amazing people around. You've had some not so amazing people, and I think if you're particularly a woman in politics or an ethnic minority in politics or a slightly younger person in politics, I feel like I tick almost all the boxes, by the way. You get a lot of hate or other words that I'm probably not going to share. But yeah, I mean, I felt it when I joined local government. I feel it now that I've joined Parliament. It usually comes by people that look and sound a particular way, that think that the only reason you're progressing over them is because of the way you look or sound or act. And actually, it's, you know, God forbid, it might just have something to do with experience and talent. But no, it's going well, and kind of the best advice I've been given by people that I've kind of found really inspiring, mainly women. The women here are incredible, by the way. And, you know, I was really concerned it was going to be kind of mildly Mean Girls, because this is like joining school, right? So it's basically Hogwarts meets Mean Girls. But ironically, the Mean Girls actually don't come from the other women MPs, because everyone's super supportive. It mainly comes from the men. And do you know what? I've gone into so many schools and people have asked me similar questions about kind of what's your one piece of advice, or kind of what has someone said to you. And the one thing that has always kind of stayed with me and stays with me is to be authentic. And people come from, and I think this is right in politics. I think that we should have more diversity in democracy, and that's not diversity for diversity's sake. That is people from different ages, different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different religions, different sexes, different genders, because I think that when you come to decision making, you're having people that come from so many different parts of our society, and that might initially mean more challenge and more conflict, but it does lead to better decision making. And I found that in local government, and I definitely think that's going to be the case in national government as well. And I just think you need to own that. I think you need to own your experiences and the things that shape you. And I will always say that my religion and my sex and kind of my ethnicity don't define me, but they have absolutely shaped me and how I kind of perceive certain policies. And I think it's right to own who you are. I mean, there's a lot of posh people here, and I'm definitely not posh. But actually, you know, I'm also here to represent all the non-posh people as well. So just being myself rather than to conform, I have found really empowering. I found it really empowering in local government when I led the council. I find it really empowering here. And remembering that the reason why you are where you are is because of your strengths. Like, there is not a perfect human being that exists out there, and you are there because you've worked really hard, because you've got talents and strengths. And those weaknesses, like, I mean, I surround myself with people that probably complement my weaknesses, so I kind of get more well-rounded kind of approach to issues and situations. But yeah, my one piece that I've got from mentors is just be yourself, and I definitely found that incredibly empowering, and it's kept me in good stead.
Join us for part 2 to hear more about Satvir's journey, the biggest learning moment in her career, and the issues that she believes deserve more attention.